Indian Immunologicals Limited, and we really look forward to a long-term collaboration with you. And with that in mind, I thought this was a very good opportunity first to invite you over for a guest lecture, though it is online. But nevertheless, at least you can talk about your initiatives, about the different avenues that you have for our students to engage with you and gain their expertise and their knowledge. I'm sure they'll be immensely benefited by this collaboration. So I would request Molly Dua. Miss Molly Dua is a student of our institution, BSc students of biotechnology from Amity Institute of Biotechnology, and I have assigned the responsibility to moderate the session. So I would request you, Molly, to please start the session and start as we had planned.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Corporate Resource Center, Domain of Biosciences and Biotechnology, I extend a warm welcome to our students, faculty members, and to our distinguished guests for today's virtual lecture. We are truly honored to have with us Dr. NSN Bhargav, Senior Vice President, Institutional Business, Indian Immunologicals Limited, one of the senior most leaders at IIL. Dr. Bhargav brings with him decades of experience in driving growth, strategy, and innovation in the biopharma sector. He has been with this esteemed organization since 2001, contributing over 2 decades of leadership and impact. He holds a Doctor of Business Administration from the Swiss School of Business and Management. He has enriched his expertise through prestigious programs at Harvard Business School, Entrepreneurship in Emerging Markets, and the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade and the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. Now, I am pleased to introduce Indian Immunologicals Limited. IIL is a market leader in veterinary and human biologicals in India, manufacturing over 150 products. It operates one of the largest vaccine plants in the world for veterinary vaccines with state-of-the-art cold chain distribution systems ensuring nationwide and global reach. IIL is also a major player in the human vaccine market, particularly in pediatric and rabies vaccine, and it is a trusted supplier to the Indian Universal Immunization Program. It has made remarkable contributions, including being the first company in India to launch purified virocell rabies vaccine, Abherab. Today, IIL exports both animal and human vaccines to over 50 countries. With this legacy of innovation and impact, we are privileged to hear directly from one of its senior most leaders. Before we begin, I now invite Dr. V. Pooja, Director, Amity Institute of Biotechnology, to deliver the formal welcome address.
So we will start, Dr. Pooja, we will start with the formal welcome address from you.
Yeah.
So Dr.
Okay.
Bhargav,
Sorry.
Dr. V. Pooja has already joined and actually she was on a call. So we'll start with a formal welcome address by Dr. V. Pooja, who is the director of Amity Institute of Biotechnology.
First of all, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, because my laptop was not on charge. So first of all, I would like to take, I would like to welcome Dr. Bhargav and take this opportunity on behalf of the entire Amity Institute of Biotechnology to welcome you, a person of your stature, taking time out to address the student itself shows how deeply connected you are with students, and how deeply committed you are to ensure that students of biotechnology are able to understand, what a company of like Indian Immunologicals Limited is doing in terms of vaccine business and advancing vaccine technologies in India. We have been hearing a lot about how India is the vaccine producer of the world, and your company Indian Immunologicals is taking a big step in this direction and is ensuring that India remains globally recognized as one of the vaccine manufacturers. And I think with your extensive experience in the field of vaccine development, distribution, and whatever the company IIL does, is taking India to the forefront of delivering affordable vaccines, both in human and animal health, not only in India, but also globally. And I think your initiative, in terms of public health initiatives that your company is doing, ensuring immunization efforts and immunization programs that IIL has initiated as part of the Vikasit Bharat and Make in India initiatives of the government of India. I think that speaks volumes about the not only the organization but also the scientists and everybody who's associated with this company. So first of all, thank you very much for being a part of this session. And we are extremely grateful to have you. And I'm sure it is going to be a very, very informative talk today. And I would also request all the students who have joined to please be attentive. Please listen to what Dr. Bhargav is saying, because he has taken, I can understand, the time he would have taken out from his busy schedule to address all of you. So please ensure that you are completely, you're completely a part of this session. Ask a lot of questions from sir. I'm sure he would be very happy to answer all your questions after the session is over. And with these words, I would once again thank Dr. Bhargav for being a part of this session and for delivering this talk. So thank you very much.
Thank
Over
you,
to you,
Dr.
Molly.
Peter.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It is now my honor to invite Dr. Bhargav to deliver his lecture and share his valuable insights with us. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon to the faculty and the students of MIT University in the biotechnology department, and I am very happy to hear the kind words that is spoken just now by all of you. Let me tell you that I am completely a commercial person, which is totally looking into marketing and business development and everything. But being in biotechnology field or being in the vaccine industry, it is imperative that you have to understand something about the science. Without that, you just can't take forward even in the field of marketing. So I would like to bring in the perspective of how the business is looked at in the Indian perspective. And at the same time, how you are leaning back into the platform technologies and why are we connecting these two things and how do you play this in a long term? So the most tricky thing which most of the people who come to the industry is that they either think that they have a science in their mind so that they can develop a product, or they think that they have some business in their mind so they can develop a business. But how do you marry these two things is very difficult because it is not something which is sustainable sometimes because the technology is moving very fast. And that is where I thought I'll bring these two elements to the picture so that there is some logic into the way a non-technical person presenting something on technology. So I would like to share my presentation here. So can you all guys see this presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's on full screen mode. Fine. So you have already introduced me. I don't have to do that. So this is a presentation on vaccine technologies and Indian vaccine business. So this is a very important aspect of anybody who is pursuing a career in biotech or vaccine industry. Now, I would not like to bring in the biotech part completely because when I talk about biosciences, it is biopharma only. And when we talk about biopharma, we say this is an effective alternative to the pharma. It controls the AMR issues, that is the antimicrobial resistance. As we go by the norm of bringing in more and more vaccine preventable diseases or addressing more and more vaccine preventable diseases, the AMR issues comes down. And the biopharma industry is growing much faster, where the investment on the research in the biopharma industry or biotech industry is 50% more than the pharma industry. So there is a huge scope, first to start with, in the field of research in the biopharma industry or biotech industry as a whole. This is a very interesting chart I don't know whether you all can see this chart, but for your benefit, I have made a small clarification here. This is something which is defining the difference between a pharma industry and a vaccine industry. When you look at the research part, from there you start working on the collaboration, in licensing, clinical trials, bringing new molecules in pharma industry, then licensing, then procurement of raw materials or in-house testing, then blending, filling, finished product, and finally it goes to market. The time taken by the pharma industry is far less than what it takes in the vaccine industry. If you already have an established product which is already licensed by some other company, even if you launch that product as a new vaccine or new product in the for new molecule, it takes hardly 1 year to 1.5 years in case of a pharma product. And in case of vaccines, if it is not a new research product, it has already been researched elsewhere. And if you want to still license it or bring the product, it takes minimum 5 to 6 years. And that means if you are talking about a completely new research, that means you are not talking anything less than 10 years. So when I am talking about this, the collaboration, so there are different kind of systems, which I'll come to the next slide. I'll show you why the chain of events that takes place for a vaccine industry is far lengthier than the pharma industry. And this is what one has to keep in mind, as it is not easy to bring everything in one single shot the way pharma industry does. Like we also see that in pharma industry, for example, if you have a production going on for 3-4 months, and if by any chance that there is 1 month there is no production, you can shut down the whole plant, you can save everything there. But in case of vaccine industry, you just can't shut down anything, even if there is a production or no production, because you are dealing with live substances, live viruses and bacteria and other pathogens inside the lab, and everything needs all the kind of services to ensure that they are all protected. So that's the reason why this is something very important when we are talking about a vaccine industry. The expenditures are very, very high, and the length of the duration of launch of the product is very, very high. So if you look at this, I have classified this, for example, research is about 2 to 3 years. Yeah. So if you see here, the research part, this is one section I have been trying to explain that why it takes 2 to 3 years in this case when it is a pharma industry, where it is more than 5 years if it is a vaccine industry. Procurement of raw materials, it takes minimum 3 to 12 months in case of vaccine, because most of the vaccine, whether it is adjuvant, whether it is any kind of a filler, all these things are basically imported, or sometimes it is available in certain 1 or 2 vendors only in the world. So you have to bring a long lead time to actually bring all those things. So plan advance and see that everything is working on place. Whereas in case of raw materials for pharma, it takes hardly 1 or 2 months, and it is just you have to do in-house testing, then blend and fill and take the finished product out. Whereas this is not the case here, where you have to do a cell harvest, you have to in-house testing, then antigen production, then finished products, blending and filling. Then there is one more part added into the vaccine, that this every vaccine batch goes through a national testing lab also before it is released to the field. Not a single batch you are allowed to release into the field just because you have tested it. The national testing lab also has to clear it. But that's not the case in case of pharma products. Any tablet you produce straight goes to the market without being tested anywhere outside. So that is the difference between the pharma and vaccine industry. Then we see here that there is a big chunk of the pharma products goes to the distributors, doctors, and retailer suppliers network, whereas the big chunk of vaccine goes to the government institutions. That's the difference between how we approach, because I don't think anybody would have purchased a pulse polio vaccine inside a retail or in a retail shop. You would have gone and paracetamol tablet you could have purchased from a retail shop, but not a vaccine, isn't it? So that's how it works. So when you talk about the fields, we just to bring the students some kind of a meaning on why we are talking about all this scopes that we have in different kind of fields. That is molecular biology, genomics, or structural biology, and basic research. Then you have translational clinical, where vaccines, biologics, gene and cell therapies are there. Then you have talking about manufacturing. More importantly, you talk about bioprocess engineering, QC, QA, cold chain. And the cold chain is one of the important part of any biotherapeutics or vaccines or biologics, which is not the case in case of a pharma product. And bioinformatics, synthetic biology, and diagnostics are tools and platforms available. We talk about different platform technologies. There are so many platform technologies here. We talk about a live attenuated one, which is basically a weakened form of pathogen, and you have so many vaccines available in that. Inactivated toxoid, subunit, conjugate, recombinant vector. mRNA is now the new in thing. It is basically because that it takes very less number of time, less number of people, less resources, and it can be, and any vaccine can be developed much faster than any other platform. So the mRNA becomes more important in that way. So this is one of the most happening platform technology which actually can be developed. But not all vaccines will fall into this platform, because sometimes some products may go into some other, because it actually have to be proved that only this platform technology provides the protective and efficacy, or the antigen yields and other titer levels, everything properly. So in that case, then that platform technology use. So you have to bring in a artificial intelligence system also sometimes to bring in which technology platform should be used for which virus. So that's something which is very important. So similarly, you have plasmid DNA, then peptide vaccines also are there. So you'll talk about different preventive vaccines and therapeutic vaccines, specifically cancer vaccines. You have therapeutic vaccines. There are a lot of vaccines which are available in the country nowadays. Talking about the genes kind of therapies. The vaccines, if you see in therapeutic nature, specifically all the immunoglobulins, which are sort of add on to the vaccines which are used for therapeutic purposes. And sometimes the rabies vaccine is also used for a therapeutic purpose. To not to say that this rabies vaccine is, we are the world's largest manufacturer of rabies vaccine, both in animal and human. And I think this is one of the biggest hot topic nowadays in Delhi, when a lot of dogs have been, the Supreme Court has said that you have to bring all these dogs somewhere else, and there's a lot of agitation happened, and finally the government was asking something to take care of. Either you, even the government has gone to the extent of asking us that, whether you can do something to this to rehabilitate these dogs. I said, come on, we're a vaccine company, we can't do all these things. So so that's how then the mRNA platform is. That's why it's very important, where we see that a lot of vaccines can be quickly developed. But whether that is the right platform to develop a vaccine, that is again another debate which has to be done when you do the R&D on that. And viral vector vaccine, protein subunits, these are all in things. I think if anybody who has a penchant for research, I think they should look at the viral vectors, protein subunits, or the mRNA vaccine platforms and be expert on that. That will help us a lot. Similarly, if you are having a good interest in the manufacturing side, not the research side, then you have to look at the single-use technologies. Like there are a lot of disposable bags are also coming, which can be done in a manner which can be used for modular facilities for faster deployment. And you have automation systems, like we produce a FMD vaccine, which is completely automated, because you just had one person sits on the screen and sees from which tube, which vessel, where the virus is harvested and how it is growing and where is the obstruction. Everything is seen in one single dashboard. So you don't have to put a lot of people there. There was a time when FMD vaccine, which was first manufactured earlier by some government lab, they used to have 200 people working in that lab. Today, it is managed by only 8 people. So this is the amount of automation that happened in the vaccine field also. Actually, if you see in vaccine industry, it is highly prohibitory to have too many people in one room. It is because of the virus load and the kind of extraneous elements that you bring into the room. So therefore, all the clean rooms, you cannot have so many people in that place. So therefore, it is logical that, it's not that something which you bring in consistency. It's not something that now it is something to do with the human capital. It is something to do with the consistency in the output. Because if you will be the biggest contaminator into the process. Because one batch contaminates, sometimes each batch is costing 10 crores, 20 crore rupees. So nobody can afford to lose a batch like that. So there's cell line optimization, high titer expression. I think these are some of the areas somebody should be interested to actually see how we can be very good at manufacturing. So today, if you see in vaccine field, people who are in manufacturing or people who are in research, they are very, very highly regarded. They are very, very highly paid also. And that is something which takes you places. But then this needs a lot of coordinated and project-like approach to ensure that you are good at everything that is required to make a vaccine. And the important thing is there is a public-private partnership accelerate readiness during outbreaks. This example is classic in case of COVID vaccine, where the government suddenly chipped in and said that, okay, let us produce the vaccine as soon as possible. So they waived off a lot of procedural things, regulatory procedures, to ensure that the vaccine launched faster. Now I come to the slowly to the commercial aspect. We look at the global biotechnology market is around $1.5 trillion, and then you have several billion dollars also coming for the global vaccine market segment. And the specifically spectacular growth comes from the mRNA and nucleic acid therapeutics and personalized cancer vaccines. These are all areas which actually gives a lot of growth in terms of the volume, in terms of the value also. And those who are doing the discovery through AI driven, which actually gives you an optimal way of doing things like how many subjects are required to do a clinical trial, what kind of passage that is required for you to get this vaccine right, what is the efficacy, what is the right or optimum efficacy of a vaccine that is required to close the disease. So these are all certain aspects which is also helping in somebody who's doing a AI. But the issue here with AI is that AI will dig into all the data. They will only throw the data which is available with you. And many companies are not very happy to share the data actually, because in recent times, a lot of vaccine companies, there were a lot of phishing happening inside the company, and many people from outside the country have been trying to steal the data from most of the, like in Dr. Reddy's lab is one of the victims of such kind of data theft. So if you see the search in the biotech, some of the important countries like in United States, China, then UK, Belgium, Germany, and in India, Singapore, South Korea, and Japan in Asia Pacific, who have contributed a lot in the biotechnology and the biopharma industry. And this is basically the vaccines and prophylactics reduce the disease burden and healthcare cost. And the way people are thinking that this is something which will help everybody um, to save not only the money, but also get the effective prevention, also cure. And at the same time, it is environment friendly. It doesn't have that typical chemicals that is providing the resistance. So in biotherapeutics also, you look at monoclonal antibodies, biosimilars, the CAR T cells therapies and gene therapies. These are all again one of the most on-demand kind of topics which are important for somebody to make sure that they have a career in this. To come to the vaccine industry in globally, if you see, there is the difference between how it works in India and it works in the globe. Like UNICEF is one of the biggest buyer of vaccines, and they buy these vaccines and they supply to all the underdeveloped or developing nations, specifically in the African nations and some of the Asian nations also. And they get these funds from Gavi, that is a Global Alliance for Vaccine Immunization. And they also earlier used to supply to India, but India has refused any UNICEF supplies, as we have become more self-reliant and we have our own vaccine house, which caters to the need of the country. Now, this is one of the important aspects which anybody has to look at, and why it is like this, I will explain. Like if you see, this is again a WHO's report only, the Global Vaccine Market Report. And if you see here in the right side, the volume of vaccines is much higher for all the Indian companies, whereas the value is much higher for the companies which are in the West, like Pfizer, Merck. They don't have much of volumes. So significantly, if you see, India is the vaccine hub of the world because we manufacture and supply more than 60% of the global vaccine requirement in volumes. But in value, no. Our values, if you see here, it is less because we are producing a low-cost vaccines. We are supplying to the whole of the world. And therefore, the funds that is generated here has its own limitations to go and invest in research also. Whereas these guys who are selling outside, they have a big retail market. They sell everything in the prescription market and they have the pricing advantage. That is what is making them, each and every product comes in billions of dollars, and they therefore be able to invest also in the same now in the research. So this is one big difference if you see here. So India contributes to the volume, whereas all the Western companies are contributing to the value. So the Indian bioeconomy landscape looks like this: $165 billion, whereas the vaccine is about $558 billion. But it's not $58 billion per se in India, because the Indian market is not even $2 billion. The rest of things is exported outside the country. And this includes, I think it's error to say only vaccine, it is including biologics and biotherapeutics. So if you see, there is again a difference in the way how Indian market is approached. If you look at the pharmaceutical drugs, it's predominantly skewed towards the prescription market, where the vaccines are skewed towards the government side. Like if you see childhood immunization, 95% of the childhood immunization vaccines are supplied to the government. You take care of the livestock vaccines, again, almost 100% goes to the government. Travelers vaccines, even if you are traveling to any country, like for example, if you are going to Africa, you need a yellow fever vaccine. And so such kind of vaccines are available in government hospitals only, and you have to pay for the vaccine cost. And that is also again going back to the government. The adult vaccines, to some extent, yes, it is where the private market exists about 20-30%. And the balance in again the government segment only. Adult vaccines, like for example, your shingles vaccines, your hepatitis A vaccine, your anti-rabies vaccine, to some extent, yes, it is also available in the open market. By the same time, also it is procured by the government. If I make a ballpark estimate, about 60% of the rabies vaccines are procured by the government and 40% is in the open market. Then there is a companion animal vaccine segment. Companion animal means your pet dogs, cats, then you have horses. So these vaccines are usually been imported from outside the country and it is sold in the retail shops. IAL is the only company which makes indigenously all the companion vaccine, and we are the largest supplier and producer of the companion animal vaccines. It is on the open market only. So there the pricing is different, because in companion animals, knowingly, anybody who loves their pets, they're willing to go an extra mile and to pay anything to get the vaccination done, unlike that they don't spend even that much money for themselves. So now some of the challenges which I would like to bring into the students, which I think will benefit them, like how you will see the technology evolution. Like for example, you started a project, and then you should have a foresight on the evolving technology for the next 10 to 20 years as to what technologies are coming up in the next foreseeing period. So because you start working on some vaccine or something on a particular technology, and then you are not, by the time you develop that, it will take 5 to 6 years. And then by the time you are at the market, there is a new technology already in place. So you have to bring in either faster, which you cannot do because there are regulatory systems don't allow you to do that. You have to establish, for example, you have to show the proof of concept that this vaccine works. Then you get a license or kind of a permission or NOC from the government. Then you go for trials. And then you have to look at the any vaccine. If you're talking that this is going to give so much of immunity, that means you have to demonstrate the immunity by vaccinating certain people. And then you have to find out that this actually gives a lifetime immunity or 1 year or 5 years, 10 years, whatsoever. Then the vaccine itself has a 3 years or 4 years shelf life. You have to find out whether the vaccine is stable for 3 years or 4 years or not. That means you have to keep in real time the vaccine for 3 to 4 years to actually see that it is stable. So if you go through all these things, automatically 5, 6 years is passed. So by the time some other technology comes, and it is, I have seen a lot of R&D people, those who are freshers who come to the research, they have been given some project, they're very excited. They will go to the project, jump into the project, they start doing it. And suddenly you will see in 3, 4 years down the line, the management will say, hey, we abort this project. We will go for something else. So they develop a lot of emotional attachment to the project, saying that, oh my God, I have done a lot of things on this. I have put my heart out of this. But everything is looked at commercially, not at how emotionally you have put your heart into this vaccine project, because you are working on an obsolete project over a period of time. So that actually has to let it go. You have to find something else immediately to do that. So this is very important, that you should not take anything emotionally when any project is aborted, because that's in the commercial interest of the company. Similarly, if you look at the market, determining the scale of the market, scale and size of the market. Uh, See, if I'm producing, for example, I'll give you a KFD vaccine. There is a Kaizunur forest disease, which is, this is one disease happens in Karnataka. And this disease happens only in forest areas in Karnataka only. It has not been found anywhere else in the country or anywhere else in the world. Now the government wants a vaccine for this disease. The total demand for this vaccine, if at all we make a marketing estimate, it is not more than 5 lakh doses. No vaccine company will jump into it, because unless until it is 20, 30 million doses, nobody would like to produce this, because it is not fitting into any of economies of scale. So what do? You either live with the disease or you have to develop a vaccine. Now I'll come to that why IIL is producing this vaccine. We are also producing this vaccine, and we developed this vaccine in 100 days flat. This vaccine has been developed. But it is not a commercially viable product, because we are a different company. I'll come to that why we are a different company. And we did that. But many companies will look at the commercial aspects, how long it will stay, which vaccine can overdo or it will overtake that and replace another new technology. Based on that, the investment will be done. And then you have to see the time when you are recovering that money in terms of your capital or anything that you have brought into that. Otherwise, it is not possible to start any project. Then you look at regulatory hurdles and resources. And then you have, if you have a first time you are bringing any vaccine, the first mover advantage always will be there. Then you have to look at the facility to take this from research to market. Like there are different companies. Different companies have different way of doing it. In my next slide will say that why there are different kind of companies in vaccine business itself, and why it is this breakup I'll explain there. Then you talk about the delivery and effectiveness. For example, what is the delivery mechanism? You can't have a very mundane kind of a delivery mechanism which is not fitting to the current generation. So we have to look at innovation in the way it is delivered. So today we are talking about different delivery mechanisms for vaccines. There are vaccines which is coming in oral drops also. There are vaccines which is coming in just injectables. There are some vaccines which are just as a patch. It's nowadays it's a new fad, I can say, that is a patch is coming, that you put a patch and then you are vaccinated. So there are a lot of new things are coming in terms of delivery mechanism, and packaging innovations are there. So you have to balance all those things to see, and then at the same time you have to run and see how you are. Now I'll give an example from the cricket. When you are bowling a ball, the bowler's mind will run through that what kind of ball I'll bowl and how that batsman will react. At the same time, he also keeps in tab that if I give X number of runs, then I'll have a problem, and that will increase my asking rate and everything. Sorry, my this rate. And at the same time, it will also keep in mind that whether I am meeting the requirement of the team, to see that whether I am achieving the score as required. So all 3-4 things will run at a time in the mind. This is how it works. You just can't say that I am bowling this ball, I am only good at that. That's not going to work. So these are the 3 different kind of vaccine organizations you will see. One is research to market. The research to market means you are doing the research, you are manufacturing it, you are developing the product, you are also delivering the product into market, you are marketing this product also. So you are also working on the life cycle of this entire product. So this is one kind of organization which is taking care of this. There is another organization which is in licensing in market. Like for example, I bring in some technology from somewhere, which is somebody else has done. I have made an arrangement, collaboration, and I'll be able to market this product in short time. Even if short time is 3 to 4 years or 5 years maximum. And if you are research to market, it may take 8 to 10 years. But in research to market, you have the advantage of first mover advantage, you have the pricing advantage, you will be able to make all the money quickly. But if you are a in-licensing product, it's already there in several companies and you are the second, third or fourth player, you will be able to manufacture it, but you are already in the competitive price game. The last is research and startups. That's what people like. You see a lot of startup companies, they are actually growing much faster. And but that's not going to help in terms of the value. It may be growing in terms of the volume. like contract research, finding buyers in technology, out-license technology inputs is required, where you can limit it yourself to that, not manufacturing. It's only research and the startup for research. So these are the different segments which are available. Look at different career paths. You have roles for R&D scientist, process development engineer, QC, QA expert, or regulatory affairs expert, biostatistics, data scientist, then aseptic techniques, then bioprocess scale up in case of skills, assay development, coding, and machine learning basics also are required sometimes to develop some kind of a research project. And for a master student, of course, a core wet lab, molecular cloning, cell culture, assay development, computation. So a lot of areas which I think you can read. I don't have to read it all those things. So these are all the skills to prioritize as a master student. Some case studies are here. I just told you regarding the rapid development of scale up. Now I would like to bring in one aspect as to this scaling up of COVID vaccine. This COVID vaccine was initially developed by Serum Institute, the AstraZeneca in UK, and Serum Institute has in-licensed it and they have produced this and they have marketed this. And being a first mover advantage, they had the advantage of scaling it up faster and selling it. Then followed by Bharat Biotech, they didn't have any technology or any kind of arrangement with any outside company. So what they did is they had an agreement with ICMR where they have isolated a COVID vaccine, COVID virus, and they started developing the vaccine inside in the company. Now Bharat Biotech could not develop the vaccine faster to the expectation of the government of India. And then government of India was a bit upset because they wanted to do it fast and vaccinate as many citizens as possible. So they reached out to another 4 public sector companies that includes Indian Immunologicals. And all the rest of the 3 vaccine makers are not even started. But we have rolled out the COVID vaccine drug substance in 3 months' time, 4 months to be precise. 3 months, 4 months time, and then we gave this antigen bulk because we have not licensed with ICMR, and Bharat Biotech has got an exclusive agreement with ICMR. So we cannot market the product, but we made the vaccine, we made the drug substance, and we sold the drug substance to Bharat Biotech only. So they in turn filled the vaccine in their vials and they have marketed the product. So if you see, that's the biggest contribution that IL has done, and which we could repurpose our facilities, because one of our factories which is making an anti-rabies vaccine, there are 2-3 factories we have. One of that we repurposed it to make a COVID vaccine, and we could quickly do that. So this quick repurposing of the facility is also another big skill as to how you use your existing inputs. Like whenever you have a facility, you should know that this facility, if it is not working for this vaccine, what else? What are the other vaccines that can be produced in the same facility? You must have a clarity in the beginning itself, so that any given point of time it can be easily repurposed. That's what has to be done. Now, to put it in a normal language, like for example, you have a tawa, you can make a dosa, you can make a roti, you can make anything in the same tawa. It is like that actually. So Indian vaccine market is again being a global hub of the vaccine business in the country, and that strong demand for trained talent is research demand. Now, what is happening is one of the biggest lacuna in the vaccine market here is the skilled trained manpower. There is an acute shortage is there. You heard me right. There is acute shortage of skilled manpower. And let me tell you, there are people who have been working for ages, are working in the same vaccine company. I can give you several names in companies who have been working even after 60 years and 70 years also, they're still working in the same company because they're not able to replace another fellow. So this is another important aspect where the younger generation should be able to challenge the skilled manufacturing expertise to bring in that kind of knowledge and talent into this industry. And that's very important. I'll also explain what IL is doing for that. Now, welcome to Indian Immunologicals. I would like to tell what we are doing in the process. So having said that, what is the background of the industry, how the global vaccine demand looks like, this is what we do. Every child in India is immunized with at least with IL's vaccine under universal immunization program, and every animal also is immunized with IL's vaccine once in its lifetime. So almost we touch every life in the country. Indian Biologicals Limited was established by the National Dairy Development Board. This is the autonomous institute established by the Parliamentary Act of 1987, and it is under the Ministry of Agriculture earlier. Now it is now Ministry of Animal Husbandry and Dairying. The objective of establishing this Indian Immunologicals Limited was to stop or prevent the disease called foot and mouth disease in the animals. Foot and mouth disease was the single largest contributor of economic loss into the country. And when I think I would like to take slightly backwards, like see that in the independent India, there are we used to import the milk from outside the country. Today we are totally self-reliant. This is because we have identified, the NDDB has identified that FMD is one single largest problematic disease, which is actually obstructing the productivity of the animals. So once we have brought this foot and mouth disease vaccine way back in 1982 when it was established, so we were able to contain the disease to a large extent, and we are in the next 5 to 6 years, the disease is likely to be eradicated in the country. I mean, it is controlled in the country. So this is the biggest contribution of Indian Immunologicals Limited. I would also like to tell you here that we, being a part of the Ministry of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, we have been always very lenient on the pricing part and see that we don't make huge profiteering or do any large profits from any vaccine. And the example of that is when this vaccine was in 1982, some multinational companies used to sell the vaccine at 14 rupees a dose in 1982. Today, after 43 years, the vaccine cost is still 18 rupees. So by any scale of inflation, this is still a lot of savings that is given, that is to the exchequer. I mean, we have estimated it's around 15,000 crores is what the exchequer has saved money in the last so many years. We have entered into because we have started with the animal vaccines and we started producing a lot of animal vaccines, and then we moved into human vaccines. It is because there was a time when the rabies vaccine used to be produced with 14 injections in the navel area, that's called a brain or a sheep brain vaccine. So we have entered into the tissue culture rabies vaccine, which is not only cost effective, but it is safer. It is only one injection in the shoulder. So that's how we entered into the human vaccine field as a request of the government of India. Today, we are the largest manufacturer of the anti-rabies vaccine in the world. So that's how it is. So in Indian Biologicals Limited, we have scopes in different areas like research, manufacturing, quality, regulatory affairs, marketing, government supplies, exports, contract manufacturing, everywhere. So CDMO, I can say contract development and manufacturing organization. And we are the single largest contributor to the vaccine security of the nation because internally, inside the country, if you take animal and human vaccines together, we are the largest contributor to the vaccine security of the nation. Most of the other vaccine companies, they export a lot of vaccines rather than selling more to the country. We are making it a point or a priority to see that first the vaccines are given to the country, and if we have additional capacities, then we will export. We are a One Health company. It's another new term and is also associated with IL because we take care of both human and animal, and any zoonotic disease that comes from the human and animal, vice versa. And then we have also developed the first tapeworm vaccine, which is called porcine cystinococcus vaccine. And this is a very peculiar One Health vaccine. Like there are a lot of people who get epilepsy in human beings. And then if you want to control epilepsy, the only way is that you have to avoid eating pork or clean your vegetables before eating, because most of the vegetables have cysts inside the vegetables, like low grown vegetables like carrot, cauliflower. All these are low grown vegetables, which are normally when you use treatments like fertilizers or something like that, they contain a lot of cyst, and the cyst comes from the dung, either from the cow dung or a pig dung and other things. So this cyst actually cause the epilepsy in the human being. So even if I am a vegetarian also, if I am eating carrots and cauliflower, which is low grown vegetables, and if I'm not cleaning it properly, washing it properly, I might as well get this epilepsy. Now, the vaccine is, if you are giving this vaccine to the pigs, then the human beings are protected from epilepsy. So it's a seriously One Health problem, actually. They're addressing to the One Health issue. We are among the top 10 biopharma companies in India, and we also are the world's largest producer of antivirus vaccine. Again, to the Universal Immunization Program of Ministry of Health or Ministry of Animal Husbandry, we are one of the largest producers and suppliers of the vaccine. And let me go run fast. I think we have very less time now. So these are the different areas which we produce, like animal health and human health, like vaccines, formulations, nutraceuticals, and
Dr.
different business
Bhargav, it
segments.
is okay even if you overshoot, doesn't matter because the students are, I'm sure the students are benefiting. So it is no problem. If you want to overshoot by a couple of minutes, I mean, some time, then it's absolutely fine.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have 4 manufacturing units, one in Hyderabad, 2 in Hyderabad, one in Ooty, and one in New Zealand. And why New Zealand? So you can be you are wondering that being a semi-government organization, how can you have a facility outside the country? We have one outside the country. It's a backward integration. We bring a lot of serum that is produced in New Zealand, which is a big raw material for making vaccines. We are opening one more unit in Australia, and we are also opening one more unit in Hyderabad. So that will make us about 6 manufacturing units totally. So we employ about 2,000 people there and 19 distribution centers. And we are profitable. Let me tell you, being an organization which is under the NDDB, and also I'll tell you that in this company, they have no owners. There is no. So this is something which is owned by NDDB, an institution, and NDDB is under the Ministry of Animal Husbandry and Dairy. And everybody wonder that what kind of business model these guys are applying, that they are profitable and they are totally self-sustainable. And I tell you one point which will, a lot of people in the industry also, they drop the jaws. Only one thing, our working capital is 0. So you can make it out that how our cash flow system is so good and how we are making profits also. We are making profits to invest money in the R&D. We are making profits to make lives better, but we are not profiteering. So that's the difference between making profits and profiteering. I think what we are making is we are investing back again to the system. So we also have collaborations with several international agencies for different products, like Harvard Medical School for hip conjugate vaccine, National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease for dengue and varicella. Then there is a Public Health England typhoid vaccine, Griffith University for COVID-19. We have a good vaccine for COVID-19, CDC for rabies, then Polivac in Vietnam for measles. So a lot of international collaborations we have, which is making us have a good global footprint. Similarly, Indian agencies also are there who are also collaborating with us. Like, for example, the FMD, Goat Proxy, so they're left ICMR, IVRI, IBR, CIFA, CIBA. So many agencies are there where we're collaborating. Some we are doing our own research, some we are collaborating also. And I think in the right side, I have mentioned about some of the platform technologies here. So if you see, except for the synthetic one, almost all the platform technologies are available with us, which we are working. So any student who wants to have an hands-on with any kind of technology, it's available here. That's something which is they can experiment and they can do things on that. That's the important takeaway. We make vaccines for animals, we make vaccines for human, and now we are now trying to make vaccines for fish. This is again first time in the country. Nobody has even made any vaccine for fish so far. There are some countries who have entered into the fish vaccines, but not the diseases which is prevalent in India. But not in India. At least nobody in India is making this vaccine. So again, here we are with ICAR, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, and the CIFA CBA. We are making fish vaccines. This is something which is 2 days, 3 days fingerlings are there, which will be soaked in the vaccine, and that will automatically immunize the fish. This is basically for the fresh water, not for the sea fish. It is only for freshwater fish. So we export to more than 60 countries. That includes Asia, Africa, South Asia, and to some parts of Central American regions. So these are the 4 facilities we have: one in Gachibowli in Hyderabad, one in Ooty, Karakapatla, and Dargavali in New Zealand. And these are the 2 new which is coming up, one in Genome Valley and one is in Australia. So these are the different vaccines for both animal and human, which we have developed and rolled out in the last so many years. So the first vaccine, which is for the animal, is FMD vaccine, and over a period of time, we have launched so many vaccines. You can see what is marked with blue. These are the first time in the world actually. This first cell culture based rabies vaccine, first filariasis vaccine, which is produced in the. So you talked about first FMDHS and BQ combination vaccine or porcine cirrhosis vaccines are all first time in the world. You can go to the WHO site and you can click Sysvax, CYSVAX, Sysvax. It's called porcine cirrhosis vaccine, and they have placed a page for us actually that the Indian Immunologicals is the only one company which is making this vaccine for this porcine cirrhosis. And as I told you that the government has really appreciated us for the absolute super fast delivery of COVID vaccine. They told us in April 2021, and by July 2021, we rolled out the vaccine drug substance and we gave it to Bharat Biotech to refill and supply again back to the government. In fact, our vaccines, we sold almost 30 million. 3 crore people immediately got the vaccine, and that is how it is vaccinated. So different quality aspects, of course, the supply chain. There are so many innovations are there in supply chain today. We can go into that in detail. Now, this is one aspect which I would like to touch upon, that Indian laws is limited not just making vaccines and making profits, but we have known, we have demonstrated how to balance profitability and service to society. We have taken up a project called Disease Free Kerala for rabies, and that is a big project we are undertaking. We ourselves, being a vaccine manufacturer, we are trying to see the state is free from disease. If commercially thinking that why should I do that? Because I would be rather happy to have more rabies cases to sell more vaccines. If that's the way I should think. And then you talk about the vaccine of stray dogs in Mumbai and Pune, that also we have taken up. And then we have taken a project for Goraksha, that is a lot of destitute animals which are on the roads and streets and nobody takes care of the health. We are taking care of their health. More than 1 lakh animals and more than 8,50,000 animals across the country are vaccinated, and they have a health package given to all these destitute animals. We have provided a Pasudan Jagrati Abhiyan where a lot of infertile animals were treated to make it fertile. Then we have done community development in terms of putting this masked street lights in different villages. A lot of street lights are not available. We provide street lights. One of the important flagship program which we have been doing is the adoption of schools and gift meal program. That is like we have adopted specifically government schools, and these government schools are now comparable with any private schools. That's how we have transformed. The first thing we did is that to attract children to come to the schools, that includes girls, because most of the girls don't want to come to the schools after a certain age. We have built girls' toilet first, or separate rooms and change rooms for them, and then also we have separate canteens and all those things for the children. They will used to otherwise sit somewhere outside under the tree or something like that. And infrastructure like right from your uniform, books, everything is provided, including midday meals and also the milk. The moment they come to the school, they get a good flavored milk also under the National Dairy Development Board's NEDP for nutrition scheme, where the milk is provided. So all these things we have been doing. We are also providing hospital infrastructure during COVID times. Several hospitals we have provided oxygen. We have set up oxygen plants for them, and a lot of renewable energy like Go Green. Like we have a project called the biogas projects, which is to go back to certain area like NDDB has got 6 different units. One of the unit is Indian Immunologicals, and another unit is, I think you guys must be very familiar to that, is Mother Dairy. Mother Dairy is our sister concern. It is a part of the National Dairy Development Board only, like what we are. And we have another organization called NDDB Mirida. The Mirida, what they do is that they have brought a new innovation of doubling the farmer's income. Like suppose a dairy farmer is there, the dairy farmer only gets money after selling the milk. But now what is happening is if you sell the dung also, he gets the same money as much as he gets for the milk. So like for example, it's a double income straight away. Like, they used to sell only milk. Now they are selling dung also, cow dung. Now the cow dung is reprocessed. There is a big plant which is processed and that is giving them an income. Now we are going to make a biofuel grid across the country, and we have entered into a collaboration with Suzuki Motor Corporation in Japan, who are going to roll out a lot of biofuel run vehicles in future. And for them, this entire network is been prepared to get ready for them to launch all these vehicles in future. Now, Why biofuel? Because again, I'll just give 1 second time to explain that, because if you look at petrol, say in a layman term, I will say the emissions are, say, for example, for every liter is 2000 something units. If you take electric vehicle, there's some emission of 200 some units, but biofuel is minus 20. So that means you are absolutely negative in that, and there is no carbon emission with biofuel vehicles. So there is another organization under NDDB which is called IDMC. They produce all dairy machineries, pharmaceutical machineries, and there is one more organization which is called CAF Lab. They make all they are a laboratory which is a NABL approved lab, which they test all kind of food products, everything. And there is one more organization under NDDB called NDDB Dairy Services, which is specifically to improve the milk production in areas which has not been covered earlier by NDDB. So these are some of the awards, and I think in the last year we got the most preferred workplace award also, which is again a very we can say that our attrition rates are very low compared to the industry, and it is because the people find a very very good place to work. I guess a lot of people have been staying in this company, and those who are going, they still want to come back. That's another important factor here. Now, we have done one more thing, which is actually very good for you to understand that for finishing school for biotechnologists inaugurated, we have collaborated with FABA, the Federation of Asian Biotech Associations, and IL to select students who will go through a certain course to be industry ready. And that is sponsored by us and also the FABA, and they will be able to tell you what domain you want to work, and they'll train you in that domain for 1 or 2 months, and then you are absorbed into the industry straight away. This is another activity which we are doing, and we have spent money enough. Why we are doing this? Because you recall a couple of minutes back I have explained as to what we are investing to bring more talent into the industry, because there is a dearth of talent or skill in the manufacturing sector and the R&D sector specifically for the vaccines. This is the reason why we are doing this. And these are some of the things which again in news, like for example, bio research services or bio services, the growth is about 28.9%, and biopharma is growing very fast. So I think 8 to 9% is a good growth actually compared to the pharma industry, which is about 4 to 5%. So that's there are 6 companies who are in the race to develop first COVID-19 vaccine, and IL is one of them. But IL has developed the vaccine, which gave it to Bharat Biotech to actually in turn produce, fill and sell the vaccine actually. So we are essentially known as Make in India and Make for India rather than export outside the country. So our limitations are very clear that we want to first see that we meet the needs of the country. Unlike any private company where they find money outside the country, they will first go there. They won't stop just because they want, because the government, because the pricing there is a huge difference in the pricing also. So this is about Indian Immunologicals, and some of the things which I already explained to you, as we are among the top 10 biopharma companies in India, and number 1 animal vaccine manufacturer in India, the world's largest manufacturer of anti-rabies vaccine, India's largest manufacturer of food and mouth disease vaccine. We are running the program more than 70 to 80% of the vaccine of the national requirement we are meeting. All animal vaccines or livestock vaccines, if you see, almost 80% of the national requirement of vaccines are met by us. Any livestock vaccine you take. So that's how we are placed. So I end my talk here. So if you have if there is some value to this, I think hope the students will enjoy this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bhargav, for that enlightening address. I'm sure the students have benefited, and now I would request the students to ask questions, students and other members who are present in the presentation. Please ask questions. If you have any questions, you can put up.
Or you can send a mail to me at bhargav@indiaman.com. So I'll request.
Yes, there's a chat window also. So please put up your questions.
Can we ask question as well?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so hi sir, good evening. My name is Arjun. So my question is that with the growing demand for indigenous vaccines development, how can academia and industry collaborations in India strengthen research, innovation, and commercialization of next generation vaccines?
That's a good question. In fact, if you look at the academia and the industry, the first thing which comes to us is there is already a collaboration with the ICMR and the institutes under the ICMR. And we have collaborated for 3 different vaccines under ICMR. One is the KFD vaccine, which I told you. If you have gone through the news, I think just 2-3 days back, we have also signed an agreement with the malaria vaccine. And earlier also, we have signed another for dengue vaccine. So 3 different vaccines we have collaborated with ICMR. Similarly, we are also having a collaboration with the ICAR, that is Indian Council of Agricultural Research, and they have the institution like IVRI, Indian Council of Indian Veterinary Research Institute. So that we are also collaborating with them, and we are having some projects which we are doing with them. And any product that is coming out of that, we are also providing them certain tech transfer fees, and we are also providing them royalty and all those things to that institute. So that's definitely on cards, and we're doing that.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions, students? Anyone else would like to ask any questions before we wrap up the session? And Dr. Bhargav, I just wanted to know that how do we, for our students, how do we engage our students with your organization? I mean, like you mentioned, that there are many avenues for research, many avenues for internship, and there's a dearth of trained manpower, and attrition rate is so less in your organization. So I'm sure you're looking for fresh blood into the organization. So how do we go forward, and how do we engage our students? How should we proceed towards engaging our students?
Yeah, I told you that now we have engaged the FABA to train finishing students in the finishing school, so that we can draw resources from them. And it is not that all the students who are in the finishing school will directly be absorbed, but we are also selecting students from there. So there is one method is that we can also have a collaboration. You can also have a collaboration with FABA in the matter. Number one. Number two is that for these vacancy positions that we have, I think you can send me a write-up to me on MIT University and the kind of student profiles, which or I can put you directly to Mr. Mutia, who is the Vice President HR, who was in touch with
Mr.
him.
Muthia, I was in touch with him. Yes.
Yeah, so he can help you out on that.
All right. So I think I'll be in touch with Mr. Muthia, and he will show me the way forward. How do I engage with our students? And finishing school sounds a good idea. Of course, you will have to select the students out of that entire batch, but at least engage our students with the finishing school will itself be a learning process for the students. So
yeah, because we are dealing with biological materials, and students come there, and I have seen several times that some batches are conked off. Some students have come and they think that it's very cool to touch this switch or that switch and then play around with that. And suddenly, you lose a batch of vaccine, which is about 10 crores. And then there is an investigative mechanism we have that how and where this batch is actually conked off. So when you see that this trail can easily be identified, there are checks and balances, and it pinpointedly takes out which stage actually this vaccine has got some problem. So we have seen that, because if the serious student will definitely focus on and try to learn and all those things. And there are some students who you don't have on-the-job training in a shop floor. No, it's a big no. You better, if you don't know, better ask somebody. So like that, sometimes we are very scared to bring in people to actually touch those kind of things. But we are always trying to see that a student, if it is going fresher, then he should be accompanied by somebody else who knows this.
Yeah, that is understandable. I mean, you cannot afford to compromise at any point with your quality or with accidents, because there's a vast stake which is there, which is you are accountable for that. So definitely, we perfectly understand. But I'm sure there'll be a few serious students who seriously want to go into this IIL, go into this vaccine production or the vaccine marketing or any profile like that. I think that there you can consider our students.
Yes,
And also the logistics, I don't know, the cold chain logistics that you have. I'm sure vaccine handling will itself be a process. Filling and handling and all these things will itself be the processes. Like we have seen in the times of COVID, like you said, you manufacture the vaccine, you hand it over to Bharat Biotech for filling and selling. So there, that entire ecosystem, I'm sure there'll be many places where students, where not so critical operations are involved, the students can be engaged in those.
Fine. So I think that innovation in cold chain delivery system is one of the most happening areas. There are a lot of companies who are working on vaccines without cold chain.
Yes.
So that is a big area of research actually. But then the stability it's very difficult. Till today, I haven't come across any vaccine which is a new one, which gives a lot of guarantee that okay, this vaccine doesn't require cold chain. It's so far it has not happened. But that's a big area of research. If somebody comes up with a cold chain without cold chain vaccine, a good research done on that, then definitely I tell you there are a lot of takers. Absolutely. In fact, it's a big suggestion for startups also.
Yes, yes. Because logistics itself sometimes becomes challenging for the vaccine manufacturers.
Yeah, yeah,
That especially we have seen, we have read, and we have heard in the news during the COVID time.
yeah.
One question I just had in mind, I mean, that is my question, it's nothing to do with your organization. See, we have seen during the COVID time how quickly the vaccines were delivered. They were in the market, and we were all taking vaccines, first dose, second dose, third dose, and so on. But you really think that there is a I mean, there is later on, we also heard and seen so many cases of early cardiac arrest and early deaths immediately after COVID, especially in the younger generation. So, do you think there is any because you did not have enough time for research, enough time for testing, the actual testing? So, do you think this lack of research and lack of testing had any this early deaths and any relation to this?
Let me answer the question in a different way. Like I told you in my one of my slides that how much long time it takes for a vaccine to deliver.
Yeah, you
You have
said
to
that.
first
Yes.
you have to bring the proof of concept. You have to see that the vaccine actually works on a certain platform. That is the right platform to give the optimum yield and optimum efficacy and everything. And then you start scaling up the vaccine in the manufacturing place. Then you do the trials in the different age groups. Like, how do you know that your vaccine is effective in children? How do you know that your vaccine is effective in pregnant ladies? How do you know that your vaccine is effective in diabetic patients or immune compromised patients? You have to do a trial, and that takes a long time. You tell me all these are totally been waived off, and once a vaccine is developed, straight away it has been vaccinated. Now I leave it to you that why so many regulatory agencies are asking you to do all this kind of tests before you launch a vaccine because they want it to be safe. It is effective is a different thing, and safety is another thing. So the effectiveness is something which is demonstrated straight away when you give the first dose, but the safety is demonstrated in long term, and
Yes.
that is something which you need time. You have not given time for any vaccine manufacturers to demonstrate the safety, to demonstrate the length of immunity that is given to single dose. So it is obvious that it will have its own fallouts, and again don't want to attribute that all these things that is happening are directly because of COVID, because you don't know, you have not even done that study also. So how do you say that?
Yeah, that's right. So it's a kind of dilemma. It's a very perplexing
Yeah.
situation. So
So
in any case, we are out of COVID, and we are all happy about that. And we, though we have seen a lot of cases, lot of sad things happening around us.
by the way, 50% of the population in the country have already got passive immunity, because one person
Okay.
infected, another person infected, they already got all um, the the virus inside the body, and it is converted into antibody, and automatically everything is in place. If you take, I think in Delhi itself, they have done a study that they found 60% to 70% of the people whom they drawn blood, they found it is all already with antibodies, though they are not vaccinated.
All
So
right. That is something which we have the disease, and you develop the antibodies. That's a natural way. Our body.
I'll give a classic example. Hepatitis A. Hepatitis A
Yes.
vaccine is basically, is something which, like for example, in my childhood, I used to go and run around in the street and drink water from the tap in the street itself, or go and fill a water bottle in the railway station platform and you to drink.
Yeah.
I have already got inbuilt hepatitis A immunity. But today, the children, suddenly you see, suddenly we found that there's a spike in hepatitis A infection. You know why? Because today's the children, the parents don't want them to drink anything outside. They're so protective about the children that they want that water bottle that fellow carries goes from the house with certain level of standards that is there. So you are actually shielding your child from any kind of exposure. Now what happens is, if he is by any chance goes to some hotel and gets something and food, he's first person to get hepatitis A because he doesn't have any antibodies, because he's been protected like that right from childhood.
The natural antibodies are
The
not
natural
getting a
immunity is not
chance
there.
to, not developing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
natural immunity is not
exactly.
there. So they are now prone to hepatitis A, and today there is a big spike in hepatitis A in children because of this, of so much of protected children that is coming emerging out of every city actually.
Yeah. So, any other question? Thank you for all these. These are not related, but it's a great thing to have you today, so that we could ask so many questions to you. So, Dr. Abhishek, Dr. Smriti, and anybody else, if you have any questions.
No, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Bhargav. Thank you for such a brainstorming session. I would say we do not understand too much about vaccines and how the interior of the industries they work. And we will certainly, Gopa ma'am will be in touch with you. And in fact, I was very happy to see your last few slides where you told the company is also entering into bioenergy sectors. And also, we would like to understand more on that as well, on the biofuel and how the I don't know whether it is directly with the second generation one, or apart from that also you are entering into few things. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you. I think this biofuel thing is coming up very nicely, and the Suzuki Motor Corporation is also doing research on the biofuel for a longer duration sustainability, because when you are filling a biofuel in any car, it should also give certain level of stability of that fuel for a certain period of time. So there is
Okay.
research going on also. Recently, on behalf of Ministry of Commerce, I was a part of the delegation of Government of India to visit Japan. So I was doing something else, but I went to Suzuki's R&D shop to find out in Osaka that they have actually doing a lot of research to see how they can bring the stability of the fuel. And I think in future, what is happening is we are trying to see that if that grid is developed across the country, then it becomes easier for you to launch a biofuel vehicle. Just like you have an electric vehicle having electricity recharge grid.
Yeah, what I could understand is it's majorly based on biohydrogen, right? What was
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
But unfortunately, there is another flip side to the story, because India hosts almost 250 million or 25 crore cows and buffaloes. That is the
Yeah,
population in the
yeah.
country. That is one of the biggest reason for greenhouse emission of gases also. So this is one offset mechanism also we will have in future.
Okay, so that is another thing probably India will explore along with Japan. So biofuel itself, the concept itself is new, except for that we have seen in our childhood biofuel being used as fuel for burning for our before the even the gases came in. We have seen the chulas being burned out of those biofuel, and cooking and everything was done through that. So now from there we have come to this stage where biofuel is actually being modernized and being used in vehicles and all that. So it's a long way. We have come really a long way, and I'm sure there's
And if your students wants to see, there are two centers which Suzuki has already established. One in Varanasi, where a big
okay,
dairy plant, and similarly one in Banaskantha, that is Palanpur in Gujarat. These two
okay.
places, this biofuel is actually running the whole plant.
Probably our students
And
would not
you
have
will be
seen
able to see,
also.
yeah, you will be able to see that not a single one paisa is not spent on any other electricity or something. Like everything is run through biofuel.
Exactly. It is
And
totally
as a
eco-friendly.
and to educate this to the, so for example, IL also is doing under the corporate social responsibility. We are doing some projects which is like, in Nilgiris, like forest area, some tribals are there, very deep interior. You won't get a gas cylinder refilled in that place
Yeah,
immediately.
exactly.
So such kind of deep interior villages in the forest area, we are providing them this bio kit, which is a inflatable balloon kind of a kit. So it is connected to a small box. That means if that family is having one or two cows or buffaloes whatsoever, they simply have to pour the dung in that and then connect it. Then that is immediately brings out a slurry, and then immediately that is forming a biofuel inside that area. and it runs the entire electricity, the entire house, that whatever they are staying, it is electricity, fan, whatever is that's running, and even the gas stove also runs in that place. It only needs the dung of the day to
Yeah, I
run that.
know. So
So
actually, we are coming around we're just completing the circle. I think a day will soon come when we'll get back to the basics. Very nice to know all
it
this.
may sound weird, but sometimes going back to the roots is very exciting.
Very exciting, and that is what we are doing right now.
Yeah.
Gradually, we are coming to that.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Abhishek, do you have any questions?
Hello, Dr. Bhargav. It was indeed a very great talk, and I'm a bioinformatics person. We have students who are actually doing work in one of our vaccine design lab in bioinformatics. They create pipelines and they create tools in vaccine development in Dr. Kamal Raval's lab. So that is especially for AI/ML in vaccine designing, like how AI and ML can be used for repurposing of various drugs for vaccine designing. So that is our like no and one area which would be related to uh, your company. So we have students who are well skilled in AI/ML based vaccine designing.
Good to know that. I think as I just shared with Ms. Gopa Madam, that this is something which you can bring all these profiles and give it to Mr. Mutaya.
Yeah.
He will try to see whether where he can fit in.
Yes,
Yes.
we will be in touch with Mr. Muthia Abhishek, and then we definitely will take it forward. And I would like to thank our student coordinator Arjun Sharma, who got this lead to us, and through Arjun, who I can see on the screen. So he actually showed us the way of getting in touch with you and inviting you, and so thanks to Arjun also for this. And I'm sure, Arjun, we are
Thank you
going
so
forward.
much,
We'll be
ma'am.
In the
going
Thank you
Ministry
forward.
of
so much, ma'am.
Going forward, we'll be
Thanks.
able to collaborate with IIL. And with that,
I think we
Molly,
have
I
to,
ask, yes, please.
sorry. I think I got this information from Mutaya, but earlier to that, I was told by one Miss from somebody from the CMSS, Central Medical Service Society.
Money, madam. Miss Money.
Mani,
Money, madam.
Manishada,
Money, madam.
Manishada.
Yeah,
Yes,
So
Manishada.
that's a part of Ministry of Health. So
Yeah, Central
suddenly
Medical
in
Service
one point
Society.
of time in our meetings, she seems to have shared with our general manager who is in Delhi. So then
yes.
he this platform.
So
Yeah,
it's a long chain.
sir, actually, my sister also, she's the colleague of Money, madam. So she gave me this lead.
Good.
And very
Thank
nice,
you.
and I'm very glad to be with you all and share my views on what is the prospects of vaccine industry in future. And there is huge the vaccine industry is growing, and it is much faster than the pharma industry. And I think the best talent will always be recognized. And we are also looking for a good talent and fit, because as we see that there are certain people who are very few in the industry who are like for example, one person is in one company, he goes next day in another company, again comes back to this company. This is what is going on. But
Okay.
I think the fresh talent, if it comes, then I think there will be a lot of competition, and then it will also throw a lot of new insights into the way you deal with the vaccine. And at the same time, we may probably, you never know, that the whole industry will change over the next generation, as how the new generation looks at, so that fresh blood is important, and
Very
otherwise we have.
important, very much required for any organization to
Yeah,
grow.
yes.
So over to Miss Molly to end the session officially.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhargav, for such an insightful session. It was truly wonderful to learn about the impactful work of Indian immunologicals and the way you took out your time to explain us everything so clearly, and even when you highlighted the challenges. So with this, we now come to the end of today's session. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you for the interesting conversations we had at the end. And on behalf of the Corporate Resource Center of Domain of Biosciences and Biotechnology, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Excellent emceeing, Molly. So with that, we close the
Thank you.
session. Thank you.